Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. My name is Sean,
I'm Missy.
and we are once again joined by author extraordinaire Ivy Tholen. Ivy, hello, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you, been wanting to have you back. I'll just say to the boys and girls out there in listener land, if you have not read Tastes Like Candy or Ivy's books, I mean, I always just say start with Tastes Like Candy. Um, It's my favorite, but I also think it's a great just point to start with your stuff. But your stuff is available. Go to Amazon, type in Ivy Tholen, and just put all that shit in your cart or in your Kindle and read it, and just you will thank me in the morning.
Thank you very much, sir.
So the idea for Missy, you basically had the idea for this episode. So talk about the impetus for what we're doing here.
Okay. Um, we were looking for something to talk about, and I was scrolling movies on Shudder and happened to see one of a movie that I love, Brain Scan, in the newly added column right next to 976 Evil, which I know is one of your favorite movies, which is why I'm like, why don't we just do, cheesy bad movies that we love? Um, and then we asked Ivy to join us, and she picked another movie.
How dare you call
I
976 Evil cheesy and bad? It's acting on a level none of you can comprehend. No, sorry.
But they all have their charm, and
Oh
I love
boy,
all
do
three
they.
of the movies that we're going to talk about.
Boy,
Um,
boy, do they all have
and
their
Brain
charm.
Scan and 976 Evil are a fantastic double feature.
Oh, it's
They
it's
really are.
literally
It's the same movie.
I had never seen Brain Scan before, and the minute it started, I was like, "Oh my God." I love this not just for itself, but because it is a fucking companion piece to
hmm
976 Evil. So
hmm
we'll get
Like
into that
updated.
later. Oh, I mean the best double feature probably ever I've hit upon in my life. But I want to start with Ivy's pick. So Ivy, what did you well, so first let me also say this was originally going to be like an on Shutter episode, but for some reason, even though I swear Brain Scan and 976 Evil were just added within the last month, and it is mid-month as we record this,
hmm
they're gone. They're not on Shutter anymore, neither one of them.
but
So like
they're both available on Tubi for free
Yeah.
right.
or as
Yes.
Prime rentals, so they're still available. And I swear I'm not crazy; they were
No, you're
there
not.
the
I
day
saw them.
before.
I was so fucking perplexed. I was like, wait a minute, I just saw them on here.
I remember seeing Brain Scan just slipping through like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So definitely they were there.
Yeah. And
But
I didn't think they removed stuff mid-month, but I don't know. Maybe the trickster had something to do with it, or
Perhaps.
Mark Dark. But what is still on Shutter is Ivy's pick. So Ivy, talk about your pick.
my pick it was she said that she had looked on Shutter and that's how the other two came about. So I looked on Shutter and saw uh Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. And that felt like it would go. I've seen all three movies before this. It's been a very long time since I had seen 976 Evil, and it's been a very long time since I had seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm bringing it up. I need to 1994 is the year this came out. So I thought 94 Brain Scans around that time that would make a nice little pairing. And then I watch the other two and see that they're the same movie and I'm like this one's going to stick out like a sore thumb.
That's fine.
It's
No,
fine.
it is fine. Um I remember watching this movie in high school. I remember renting it from Blockbuster, which was very rare because we never went to Blockbuster. We always went to the local indie place.
Hmm.
But I don't think they had this movie, and I wanted to watch this movie. I rented it and I loved it. And then, like 3 years ago, I watched it again and I thought it was absolutely fucking awful and could barely make it through. And then this most recent time, I appreciated it a lot more. I don't think it's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Um, I think it's a prototype for House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hell
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But I actually really enjoyed it. And Matthew McConaughey's always been a fantastic actor because he's genuinely unsettling in this movie.
Hmm. He's the best part of this movie.
He's the only reason to watch it.
I wouldn't go that far, but he is the best thing. But I have to ask: is there? This movie might have more screaming in it than part two, which seems impossible. It just seems impossible because there's so much fucking scream. Like, it's Alucarda and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 have always been the screamiest movie I fucking have ever seen. And I was halfway through this the other night. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this might give it a run for its money. There's so much screaming. Oh, it's wonderful.
And for the small amount of actual violence in that movie, the screaming is really egregious because it's not particularly violent. It's not scary. Leatherface is just sad. I don't even know what's going on there. I don't know why they made those choices.
Well, and Leatherface does not kill anyone with his chainsaw.
Does Leatherface kill anybody at all? I don't remember.
No.
Oh, he doesn't, does he?
Or wait, he might. Doesn't he kill the first guy? I think
the body count is like,
but not with the chainsaw.
There's like no body count.
The things about this movie that are so when I first saw this is how I first saw this movie back in like let's say the late 90s. I'm gonna guess 97, 98. Is my friend Brown and I go to our friend Tim's apartment to pick him up to like go out bar hopping, and he's getting ready. So we're sitting in the living room and the TV's on and there's a movie on cable. And it's just, we're not really watching it, but we're like talking, it's on, we're watching it, kind of half watching it. And at some point, Leatherface comes in and I was like, wait a minute, is this a fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie? Because nothing in the 15 minutes before that had given any intimation that I was even, at the bionic leg.
The Illuminati. Do you know the lore of the movie of how it happened?
No, I know it was originally the return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, directed by Kim Henkel, you know.
It got made and then it got shelved and they were not going to release it. And then Renee Zellweger became famous and McConaughey became famous, so they released it. And his people, I believe, tried to get it stopped.
They did. They tried to get it stopped. And I think there's something that because they're in the movie, they can still have them like on the box, but they can't like push them.
Oh God.
I
read some interviews with her after I watched the movie, and she seems to look back at it fondly.
See, I would have thought it would have been the other way around.
I mean, it was his people trying to get it canceled. So
wow.
Yeah.
One thing I like about these high school chainsaws. That was dumb. Sorry.
Well, and
I can't not think of him as like.
No, you can't. Especially since he even does the all right in the movie.
Oh, he does.
I made a note. He does it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to do it because I'm authentic?
Yes, please.
All right. No, he was top. I mean, this movie, I will say this, it feels like 1994 Texas because the way this one isn't out in the middle of nowhere like the original is. This is in like a little small town where there's shops and like a grocery store and stuff, and they're driving around. I think there's a gas station. You don't see that in the original movie, and it just looks like 1994 Texas. It was very funny. I looked at it, I was like, that's in Central Texas, and it was. It was made in, this is my favorite name of any city in Texas, Pflugerville.
Oh, I've heard Texas. Of Pflugerville.
I've never heard of it.
Yes, it starts with a P.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. But it was filmed in Pflugerville, and it feels like it was filmed in Central Texas. So they got the Texas part right. The rest of it, the chainsaw and the massacre, there was a chainsaw. There was no massacre. There was
It's funny because they start in town and then they walk like a block and they're like suddenly shrouded in mist and like the town's gone. And then it's just how, I'm like, how?
That's actually accurate. That's actually kind of accurate.
Okay.
You'll be in a little city and you'll drive like 2 feet and you'll be in the woods. That's really accurate. 2 feet. Yeah. No, it just kind of like there's certain parts where there's just nothing in Texas, and there's certain parts where it's just wilderness and stuff. Like my hometown is a small city outside of Houston, but if you're driving between my hometown and the next major city over, like not major city, but like the next memorable city over, you'll be driving with trees on either side of you and like ditches and
Interesting.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just the way that that portion of Texas is laid out. It feels it felt very realistic to me. It really did.
Okay, so do you think maybe that's part of the draw?
That's one of the reasons I like it. I like it because it feels like there's something nostalgic about it for me, even though the movie itself is not nostalgic to me, because I only watched it probably once or
Okay.
twice before to this time. So it's not like, oh, this is a movie I watched all the time when I was a kid. It's just, it has a feel of a time, because the Texas that I grew up in does not exist anymore. We're not going to get into it.
Okay.
I'm just going to say that doesn't exist anymore. Hasn't existed in a very long time, and we're getting further and further away from it. This backdrop is Looney Tunes running around in the Texas I remember. So I really enjoyed
Okay.
that. Yeah. The characters are completely unrealistic and nothing, you know, there are there are a few of them that are kind of realistic. I could see that's actually kind of true. I could see not the extreme over the top robotic leg, but that realtor, she's a realtor, right? Is she a realtor?
Yeah, I think so.
Like her, she feels real. That I could see that woman existing. Like, you know, I don't know.
Well, I mean, yes, until like the whole revelation, which is
Yeah.
not really a revelation because you can see
Yeah.
it coming a mile away, but I'm like that. She looks so familiar to me, but I looked her up. I'm like, I don't know what I would know her from. So I felt like she was like an archetype of that era. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God. That movie is just, it is just so like the scene where she flashes her tits like out the
Yeah.
window. Like, for what reason?
Yeah.
For what reason other than they were like, you know, we haven't had any tits in this movie so far. So we need to change that. And Renee Zellweger was probably like, I'm not doing it.
Well, no, I think it was her first feature role.
Yeah. God, I mean, Missy, how did you see this movie first?
I saw it on video a long time ago. I used to work at the video store in high school, and before that, I was a video store kid every weekend. So I know I saw it on video, and I remember enjoying it. I hadn't watched it for at least 10 years, and but I enjoyed it then. I like it even more now.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the original Texas Chainsaw, but I probably love part two a little bit more. If you like part two, you'll like this one.
Yes.
And Matthew McConaughey.
This was also written, or was it written or directed by?
It was
Henkel wrote and directed. He wrote and directed it.
And then
Tobe Hooper helped write it too.
I think the writing credit for Tobe Hooper is just that it's based on characters by.
Oh, okay.
No. Kim Henkel co-wrote the original.
No, I know. Yeah. So this is like, you know, royalty still, right? It's still like from.
Okay.
The thing, I don't remember who I watched, because I watched a video and read some stuff about it. I think what someone said is like, it's as though the two people who made Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of them, they both made absurd sequels. One of them did it right away with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. The other one did it with this. Pick your choice as to which you prefer. I'm going to go with Texas Chainsaw 2. But I think this is a fun movie if you're not looking for Texas Chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the thing. I'll never forget the first time I saw part two. I was like, wait, what? What? I don't understand. You know, it took me because but then when you think about it, you're never going to be able to make part one again.
Mm-mm.
So don't even fucking try, right? Like, why even? So of course Hooper's, and I think we talked about this on the show recently, but I'd been staring at the poster for part two for my whole fucking life and never realized till somebody said,
yes,
it's the Breakfast Club.
I don't know how you never noticed that.
Oh my God.
I didn't notice it until like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It was really
part of my brain knew that, but my conscious mind did not. So I was like that. He's telling you with the poster, don't expect the fucking first movie, because how would I do that again? Why would I do that again? So yes, I this is definitely Kim Henkel then probably going, well, Toby, I see you're crazy, and I'm going to raise you a bionic leg, sir.
Well, and the funny thing is that Matthew McConaughey originally auditioned for a part that got cut. He was supposed to be like rescue the Jenny character, and they were going to ride into the sunset on his Harley. And the role got cut. And they asked him if he knew anybody who would, like any actors who'd be good for Vilmer. And he said, "Can I try out for Vilmer?" And he nailed it. He got it on the spot.
I mean,
And
you
he's
could
the
tell
best
he just dialed it to 12. That's how he nailed it. Like, just it's just so over the top. It's
And the
just
people
fucking
making
crazy.
this particular movie would have never gotten that quality of acting out of, and like they never would have been able to find, because he was not far off from what he ended up being a couple of years later. He was really good in this. He's
Yeah.
ridiculous and he's over the
Mhm.
top, but he should be. This character is like I said, this is very House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah.
He's like a proto Otis Driftwood.
Yeah.
Like
There's definitely
Yeah.
elements.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I had not expected that at all. So that really, in fact, I feel like, and I don't remember what it is now, but I feel like there was like very specific, either, I don't know if it was like mannerisms or like a particular event. There was something where I was like, oh my God, it's so like, I've never heard Rob Zombie talk about this ever. Not that I've like listened to or read a bunch of interviews with him, but I've certainly in the run up and aftermath of the original two Firefly family movies, I definitely sought out some stuff, and he, you know, I mean, obviously Texas Chainsaw comes out of his mouth, but I've never heard specifically for, but clearly,
I don't know that he would admit to that.
I think he would. I mean, he does, you know, he likes. I mean, he's Rob Zombie. You know, I don't think he would be like. I don't I don't think he's too elevated for this at all. But yeah, this movie is a joy, and I definitely think, yeah, it's a bad movie, but it's a fucking great bad movie, and
Yes.
Mhm.
you know, it reminds me of like that in the 90s. It's you get movies like Freaked and just there's movies where you're like, how did my God, nobody would ever give people, no studio would ever give people money to make a movie like this now, right? So it's got that kind of really far out there 90s. It is just, but it's recognizable, despite the fact that there's not really a massacre. It is recognizable as a Texas Chainsaw
Yes.
movie.
Yes.
Fuck, man.
And my notes, I remember why I wanted to check this out of Blockbuster. It was because the VHS cover is a close up of a mouth, and it's red lips, and the chainsaw is lipstick, which is exactly
Mhm. I remember
kind
that
of,
box.
yeah,
Yes.
that's what it is.
Yes.
Yes.
I forgot all about that.
I also have this in my notes. The beginning, they show Renee Zellweger up super close at a weird angle, putting on lipstick. I swear it took me a second. I thought it was Leatherface.
I
Oh,
did
interesting.
We were
too.
watching Leatherface
totally
put on
thought it was.
lipstick. It was Renee Zellweger. Her skin just didn't look great in the angle they had her at. Yeah.
Yeah, I really thought it was Leatherface too when I was watching it the other night.
Nope, that was Renee Zellweger putting on makeup. Unless they were cutting Leatherface in with her and I didn't notice, because that's also possible.
Maybe.
Portions of this movie did not stick.
Yeah, definitely. The shit that sticks is just like it's just the really bad shit, crazy stuff. You know, on Letterboxd, I can't find an entry for The Next Generation. Everything is just the Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and everybody's review that I looked up was for that cut, which is apparently available on the Blu-ray. I mean, I like this. I don't know that I'm going to buy it on disc. So I may never see that because I couldn't find it streaming. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
I wonder what the differences are.
I would love to know.
I'm almost positive I've read an article explaining the differences, but I don't remember what they are.
I mean, just based on a couple of the Letterboxd reviews I read, it's like people kind of like defer to the Next Generation cut as kind of a lesser thing. So maybe there's more violence in the return. I don't know. I would like to know. Man, if only there were video stores where I could go and rent the fucking disc, right? Instead of having to pay what, you know, whatever $30 or whatever the Blu-ray is going to be. Um, get her leather.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Any more thoughts on Texas Chainsaw 4, or shall we move on to another movie?
Which movie are we moving on to? Is it Brain Scan?
Missy,
Should it be Brain Scan?
Missy,
Because I have a comment.
talk about the movie that you picked and why, Missy.
Hang on one second.
Okay.
Is it going to be Brain Scan? Because it should be.
Yes.
Brain Scan. Okay. This one and Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation and Brain Scan, they both have a very similar feeling. And that feeling is, you can, if you watch them and you know historically what's about to happen, you can look at your watch and go, yeah, Scream's coming out in about 5 minutes. Like,
Well,
you
both
can
of these
feel,
came out in
you can
1994.
yeah. So
Scream
Scream
doesn't
is
come
coming
out till
right around the
96.
corner. You can see where everything is starting to get real thin. Everything is starting to get real like ridiculous. Everything is starting, like, you can see the wheels starting to come off of the genre right before Scream comes up. There's
Yeah.
something eerie about these two movies. I don't know what it is. It might be the fact that, you know, we're doing a Texas Chainsaw Massacre with a robotic leg, and we've got a slasher with whatever the hell Trickster is. They just feel like we're almost done here. But over to you.
All right. Well, Brain Scan came out in 94. I was 15. And me and my cousin rented it as soon as it came out on VHS.
So you were
Rented it
waiting
from,
for it.
yeah, I read about it in Fangoria. I missed it in the theaters because it was only in the theater for like a week or two. So we missed it. So like as soon as it came out, we got the video and I spent the weekend at its house and we watched this movie and we were like, if I'm 15, then he's 14. And we were riveted, just riveted by this movie because I mean, especially it was before Scream. So these horror obsessed characters weren't the norm yet.
Mhm.
So it's super nostalgic and we related to these people and they're in the, like the suburban Midwest and loved horror and played metal. So we watched this movie and it's like those are us. And then you meet Trickster, who's weird and wonderful. And it was the first time I ever heard Primus,
Oh
which then
man,
I
what an
fell in love with.
introduction to Primus that would have been.
Yeah, I had never heard anything like that. So
There is
then
nothing like that.
that's true because Primus is fucking awesome and Les Claypool is a god. But
Agreed. And just also, it's so fun. I love the fact that he chose that because he's like this alien demon, whatever, right? And his music that he loves is this, because I've long said, and I mean, I love some weird shit, right? But I think Pork Soda is the weirdest fucking record. I think if you were to go 10 million light years from home and land on a planet and hear music, it might be Pork Soda. Like, it is just not, it's just alien fucking music. So the way that that scene hits, I was just like, oh my God, like, wow.
yeah, it was like nothing I'd ever heard, and I thought it was amazing, and I wanted to find more of it. And I always found the movie fun and immersive and eerie, and it's super underrated. And like, I can't believe you haven't seen it, but yet a lot of people haven't. Like, it flopped. They pulled it out of the theaters after 2 weeks. But I still, like, I watched it the other night and it still hits the same way. And I still love it.
I loved it from like the opening where he's like crawling from the car wreck or whatever. And it had a lot to do, actually, I think, with the music.
Okay.
I really, really, really liked the music. I George S. Clinton, not to be confused with George Clinton. I don't know, something. I knew with it, like, I think I texted her, I'm like, I'm not even 5 minutes in yet, and I already know I love this fucking movie. And it never, like, it just kept, my love kept ratcheting up. And I was like, how?
Okay.
And I'm glad I'd never seen it before because I love the fact that at 49, I can still find shit from,
Hmm.
way back that I'm like, this is amazing. Like, and this
Hmm.
movie had like layers of it. Like, also, there's a band in here called OLD. I had never heard of them. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like the Body, like 25, 30 years before the Body existed. It's the weirdest. I mean, I've been listening to it ever since. Man, I absolutely fucking adore this movie.
I'm glad because I thought there was a 50-50 chance that you might hate it.
Oh, I loved it
I
so
knew you'd
much.
like the premise and that you'd love Trickster, but it has that super 90s feel to it. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be because you and I are a few years different, and most of the time it doesn't matter. But every once in a while, with stuff that's super nostalgic, if you didn't see it at the right age, it doesn't hit the same way.
Yeah, no,
So
I
I'm
totally know
glad
what you
this.
mean.
So I'm glad that you enjoyed this so much because I just had a feeling either you were gonna if you it was gonna be a like it or a love it thing.
Right.
So
It
I'm
the generational thing, it goes in the other direction because I didn't like it.
Okay.
I
Talk about
understand
it.
why y'all do. I do
okay.
understand why. Like, it's not one of those like this is terrible. This is not for me.
Okay.
I'm a couple of years younger than Missy, so I'm like, and at this point in time, I was not allowed to watch horror, and I was starting to get really into like dark comedies and weird stuff like that because that scratched the itch. So I wasn't
Right.
paying attention to any of this. And then I don't really care for Edward Furlong. I never have.
No.
So I never had any interest in this movie. And when I watched it a couple of years ago because it popped up and I was like, this is a 90s movie. I love bad 90s horror, pre-Scream. I really do. It's just not, whatever. Um
Hmm.
I it's a very Gen Xy movie for sure.
Oh yeah, one
For
hundred
sure.
Okay.
percent.
For
One
sure
hundred
it's a very
percent.
because I'm like elder millennial and then y'all are and then Missy's like the tail end of X and then you're like
Hmm.
X. So it's very, very X movie and I don't really like that that
Okay.
I
vibe.
You are
Um
100% correct. It's one of the things I think I like about. I mean that like the
Yeah.
yeah,
suburban backdrop. I'm like,
yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's like where I grew up.
yeah,
Same.
yeah. And it's
I
just a
mean, with
little
maybe not that much money, but like
Yeah,
it's
not a
just
big
very
house like that, but
no, these
no,
people
but
have
it's very
money.
similar. It's
yeah.
it.
Movies like American Pie feel realistic to me. So that's awesome.
Okay.
I've never seen that.
That's what high school was like when I was in high school. So
Okay.
like this is what I remember the early 90s being, but I remember most of the early 90s I remember is through pop culture. So this reminds me of the early 90s, but it isn't my vibe necessarily.
Right.
I didn't hate it. I think that the humor could have been turned up a whole lot. I Trickster, we don't I have a similar problem with Trickster and with Hoax in the movie we're going to talk about next, where Trickster needs to be on that screen a lot more because this movie is not scary enough to only show a villain like that a couple of minutes out of the movie. Something like a Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy is only on screen for 7 minutes, but you feel him in every moment of that movie. He's terrifying. It's a scary movie. This movie is not scary in any way, shape, or form.
No, no, absolutely not.
No.
And Trickster only improves it. It wasn't a situation where we need to do a less is more thing. I would like to have seen a more is more thing. I would like to have seen Trickster be a little more evil and not just kind of like a devil on the shoulder.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like he's a little bit. I actually think there's maybe too much of him because it's not a scary movie. But before you see him, that first video that Furlong watches, right?
Mhm.
That the movie?
No, I'm sorry, but the first time he plays the game, right?
Oh,
Like
okay.
he's basically transported into a first person. Well, it's him, but he's murdering somebody first person, and that can't theoretically that is frightening as fuck. Like to like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, have had that experience and then like less than 24 hours later realize, oh, that was real. And I think Trickster kind of diffuses it. So he could, if he had been there more, he would need to have been turned up for me, because otherwise he wasn't scary. Like he was. I think that's why they call him Trickster. You know, it's like
He was just playful and weird, and
yeah, like I don't. It's a weird character, but I don't know.
it's a weird movie.
It is. It is a really weird movie.
I feel like it was made by people who wanted to piss off Tipper Gore.
Yeah, I could see that. I could.
Yes.
It also has it. I like that a lot, actually.
For people that don't know, Tipper Gore was married to Al Gore, and one of her weird, and he was the vice president under Bill Clinton, for people that don't know that. And she had a weird crusade against video games for some reason, and video game violence. It's very interesting. It's very interesting they're talking video game violence in 1994.
But she also had the war on music.
She started the PMRC, the Parents Music Research Center or whatever.
So video games too.
No. So the story is her niece was listening to Little Nicky by Prince on Purple Rain, and the fucking line in it met her in a hotel lobby masturbating with a magazine. Tipper Gore was like, "What is this?" And so she like runs to Washington. Al, we have to save the children, and starts this thing. And so in the 90s, then after that, all these records had explicit lyrics stickers, which is not a big thing. And the funny thing is that actually just sells more records, right? But all of the artists were like, "Fuck that bitch, fuck that," you know. Like everybody's like, "Fuck Tipper Gore." Like, thanks for helping me sell millions of more records, you fucking bitch.
Yeah, really. That's funny. No, I could have sworn it was video games. Wow.
I'm sure it was also video games.
She might have done video games too, but her big crusade was the parental advisory things.
She's the reason I had to get my grandma to buy all those CDs. I'm not even kidding.
Oh my God. Yeah, but it does. It feels like this kind of. It has this 90s thing where, like, okay, Edward Furlong's room. No kid has that room.
No. It's the coolest room ever.
It's the coolest room ever. You know, and I'm like, it's funny, we're watching it. I'm telling Kirsten, I'm like, this is fun, you know, and she's like, have you looked around your office recently? And it's not as cool, but like I realize that it's because this is not specific to this movie. There are a lot of 90s movies that have this, right?
Yes.
Or like this, and Furlong, like think about the T2, right? Which I haven't seen since it was in a theater, but like that, you know, he's got the thing where he can hold the fucking tape recorder to the payphone in order to, like, you know, not have to put money in. There was always like kids abusing technology and like this weird parentless existence, you know. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm like, in 1994, I would have been like, dude, I want that fucking room. And I'm just looking at it, I'm like, nobody has that fucking room. Although I really want that bubble thing, whatever that bubble bong pipe thing was. I really want that. I'm gonna look for that for my office because I secretly want to be Edward Furlong in this movie.
There's also a hint of after-school specialiness to it as well.
Yeah, totally. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Don't play violent video games.
Yeah, don't play violent video games. It's almost an inverse of Scream, where Scream is like, movies didn't make me crazy. They made me creative. This one's like, if you play video games like this, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, right.
That's what I mean. Like the cynical part. That's what I'm more drawn to, is the cynical stuff from Scream. This is Brain Scan was too wholesome for me.
Yeah, it does kind of play as a warning, doesn't it? Oh my God.
Yeah, I still love it.
Oh no,
no. There is no shame in loving this movie. It's a fun movie. It just didn't speak to me personally.
Yeah, I mean, the location, all of it. Even my room kind of looked like that. Not that cool, but and his computer with the talking Igor, T. Ryder Smith, who plays Trickster, he's Igor too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing. Like, did that exist in 1994, where he literally talks to his kid? He says Igor, and then Igor pops, like a graphic pops up, right? Like a 16-bit graphic of Igor, right? Yes, master. Dial Trixie or whatever the fucking neighbor's name was, right?
Kimberly. Dial
And then
Kimberly.
it plays it has all these pictures of I'm like, this didn't exist in 1994. What is this?
No. And Igor is more advanced than Siri. Like my Siri
Yeah.
won't even my Siri just Google stuff now. Like
Yeah,
Igor gives you
right.
real answers. He does real things for you.
I
Man.
think I've always thought it was supposed to paint him as like, like he built
Yes.
that computer.
Yeah, that's what I
Yes.
thought. That's the vibe I got.
He has all this tech stuff because he's super tech savvy and he customizes this stuff.
I don't think we're supposed to think too hard because it's about hackers. What about hackers? Come on. There's nothing realistic about that. Movies from this time that cover technology are so made up and ridiculous, and none of it is like how it turned out to be. Nobody ever predicts the internet. He's getting 4 separate discs mailed to him. If he has keyboard,
Right.
he could download something on his, 28, not even 56K, like 28 modem in 94.
Yeah, they're all excited because it's interactive CD-ROM.
Oh my God.
You show this to a 20-year-old today.
Oh, they'll laugh you out.
Confused.
Oh yeah, they'll
laugh you out of the room. They'll laugh you out of the room. That would be the equivalent of like your grandma trying to make you watch Lawrence Welk. They'd be like, "What the fuck is this bullshit? Fuck you, old man." Missy, what do you think? What do you think So first of all, this is written by fucking what's his name? The Andrew Kevin Walker that wrote Seven. So that blows me away.
What?
Yes,
yeah, Andrew Kevin Walker and Brian Owens wrote it.
The story by Brian Owens, directed by
John Flynn,
who really was an action movie director. I mean, like Rolling Thunder, The Outfit, Steven Seagal in Out for Justice, Lock Up, Defiance. But okay, so what do you think the whole purpose of having him with the gimp leg and the accident, other than obviously the losing the mother, but like I'm not questioning it because I didn't like it or I felt out of place, but I was like, I don't know if I'm missing something or if it's just like an added
I think it
color
was
to the
just
palette.
he has trauma.
Okay.
Past trauma. I never thought too hard about it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And it gives him past trauma so they can play with that for the story, but it also isolates him because there's no mother in the picture. And
father works and he's out of town.
And there are very few adults in this movie outside of like the police detective and the principal.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's another one of those, and so like this movie feels like a very direct, like some '90s horror sci-fi movies feel like they're trying, like there's a gap between the '80s and them, right? I can't give you a specific example off the top of my head, but this movie feels like a very natural progression, and because we'll talk about like how like 976 Evil is '88. And this just feels like an extension of that movie. 100%.
976 Evil feels like it's a 90s movie, even though it is not. It feels like it should have been made in 1990.
That's interesting. To me, it's so insanely 80s, but there is that phenomena too, like the end of, or I should say the beginning of a decade.
Yeah.
People will misremember certain pop culture stuff as being from the 80s, and it's actually not, right? Because it usually takes like a year or two for it to kind of get its own zeitgeist, its own identity.
Almost everything I truly remember loving that I think is from the 80s was from 1990 to 1992. Everything.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Perfect sense.
It's like the transition period, so one foot in both sides.
Yeah, exactly. And I think both these films have that.
Hmm.
That's why they work so well together. Uh, any before we move on to 976 Evil, any other anything else about Brain Scan?
No,
Not
just,
me.
I mean, if it sounds cool to you and you've never seen it, check it out. But it does, Ivy nailed it. It does have a real heavy Gen X feel to it. I never thought of it that way, but it is what it is. It's
It
still,
is and it's not
I
a
like
bad
it.
thing.
Right. I think that's part of its charm
The
for
fucking
me.
soundtrack is just unreal. Like
Yeah.
I can't get over this old band OLD. I just can't get. They're it's so. I love it so much, and then like Tad. That's like a Seattle band that like I saw them live way back in the day. I had to text Brown. I'm like, didn't we see Tad at some point? Like I couldn't remember who they opened for. You know, it was like Alice in Chains or whatever. But
Okay.
like it reminded me of when that sound, like hearing the Tad song.
Is that the Dig 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 song?
Uh, I think so. I can't remember the name of
The
it.
one for the,
Grease Box. Grease Box. I don't remember. I think it is. It's in there a couple times, but it reminded me of when that. I mean, without the right context, a lot of stuff from the '90s right now sounds kind of, I don't know, dated or whatever. But it reminded me of when that sound, like when I heard
hmm
that sound the first time, and I was like, oh my god, what is this? You know, like I don't know. I just, man, it really, really great soundtrack. Really
yeah.
excellent movie. 976 Evil. Robert Englund's directorial debut, and I'm pretty sure only only outing.
There's something else, but it doesn't look. What is it? Killer Pad? I know nothing about it.
Oh, I don't know. I thought he only directed this.
It's on
Oh,
IMDb.
you are right. Three
Yeah.
pals move into a haunted house in the Hollywood Hills. I'll be seeking this shit out. 2008. Well, that's well after the fact. So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
976 Evil, 1988. Basically taking nine. So okay, if it, I'm gonna, it's history time, kids. In the '80s, there was this super bizarre phenomena where there were all these fucking dial-in numbers, anything you could think of. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like you could call and hear a unicorn tell you a story or whatever. I don't know. I mean, there
Freddie
was
had
so
one.
Freddie had one. I mean, there were so
Yeah,
many of
he
them. You
did.
dial 976 whatever, and then
Hmm.
it was like at least
The
$2 for the
Psychic
first minute.
Friends. They had infomercials all night long for the psychic Dionne Warwick and her psychic friends.
Casey mentions it in Scream. She says they got 900 numbers for that.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh
But yeah, it was. I wish I could remember specific examples. I never called one, but I remember there was like I remember there was something when I was in like fourth grade where it was like everybody was calling it, and I was like asking my parents, and they're like, absolutely not. Like, what, yeah, your fucking
yeah.
mind, absolutely not. It's like $2 a minute or whatever. But so this is taking that concept and turning it demonic, and it's preposterous, obviously. Like everybody in this movie is just like, oh, yeah, I got a second, let me light a cigarette and call 976 Evil for my horoscope. For what fucking reason? For what reason would you possibly do this? Like, why if you're not a fucking 10-year-old? Just not understand. And also, like, they just put in a quarter. I mean, there's like
I don't understand the logistics of how a 976 number works on a payphone.
Right. I mean, you certainly wouldn't be able to just put in a quarter. Like you'd have to put in, right?
Is that
Oh
a
my
thing?
God.
I don't have a whole lot of experience with payphones. Is that a thing that you could like? Oh,
Put in multiple quarters. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, if you put in a quarter and dial the number that needed more, it would be like, please deposit. It would prompt you to
Like
deposit
a voice
more.
would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have
But
another question. Were
okay.
phone stores a thing? Because that
Yeah.
woman that blows up and there's like glass in her face, she walks. Is that a
Yes.
phone store?
Yeah,
I
they
think
do
it is.
seem to
I
be
hadn't
a
even
weird.
thought of that.
There used to be a weird phone store in the mall that had like all the crazy novelty phones, like the clear phone and one that looked like a
Yes.
shoe and
That is
like a
wild.
football and like all
Oh
kinds
my
of
God.
yeah,
Well, I mean, there are phone stores
it was a
now.
novelty thing,
But yeah,
but
but
I,
you have cell phone. You have to
I
you
want a
know.
cell phone that looks like a fucking shoe. God damn it. Why
Did
can't
you
I
notice
have
that the
that?
shoe phone looked like the shoe she was wearing?
Yes.
yeah, yeah, it did.
Oh man.
This movie is
Um,
camp. This movie is
Yeah,
fantastic. Particularly the last hour is
I,
fantastic.
I think the thing about this movie, because I've watched this movie, I couldn't tell you how many times, and I love it so much. And I've like sat down and been like, Sean, why do you love this movie so much? Like, maybe is there something wrong with you? But
why ask
I
why?
think
You love it. It
I
doesn't
think this
matter.
movie fucking nails that Nightmare on Elm Street
Oh yeah.
liminal, like like thin, that thin in Nightmare on Elm Street, it's the thin spot between sleep and waking, and here whatever it is, it has a very, very similar tone. Obviously, Robert Englund borrowed it, but I actually think it's a better version of that than most of the fucking Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Like, I just think he fucking nails it. The scene in the locker room, no, it's not realistic. There's like fucking blue lights and fog in the locker room, right? Why? Who fucking cares? It looks awesome.
When I say this, I'm referencing movies like um oh my God. Deadly Friend and Shocker, not Nightmare on Elm
Mm,
Street or Scream. So if you told me Wes Craven directed this, I would believe you.
exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
But like the Shocker Wes Craven. If you told me
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Nightmare on Elm Street Wes Craven directed this, I would be very confused because it's like a step back from that. But
Yeah.
it definitely fills that. It definitely checks the this could be a Nightmare on Elm Street movie box. Like
Yeah.
for
It's just gorgeous to fucking look at, like the whole sequence with, I love the, like, when hell freezes over and then that's basically exactly what happens, right? um just the scene where he makes the pentagram and like conjures the spiders out of
The
what's her
spider
name's
scene is
TV.
rad.
I just love that scene. I just fucking love that scene. It is definitely not a good movie. I mean, the aunt, and she is, you have to kind of wonder, like, why do they go so over the top religious with this character? Like, it's obviously like it's a joke, like it's camp, um but it adds to the overall tone. I don't know, it just fucking work. All the hoodlums and the nerds, they're just like a stereotype that an adult came up with. It doesn't really bear resemblance to reality, but that kind of thing when I was younger pissed me off, but like, I don't know, I just love it.
you can tell, like I've been listening to Robert Englund speak my entire life basically, and you can tell he did things like Aunt Lucy. I can feel that Robert Englund was tickled by that character. I can feel, like, I can hear the man who I've heard interviewed a million times talk about how wonderful he thinks that character is. So she does not. She's Tammy Faye Baker.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and then she gets eaten by cats. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And I read that they had done that. It was a dummy filled with tuna fish. That's how they got the cats to eat
Amazing.
it.
That is fucking amazing.
And I heard Robert say in some interview that the cats were always good when the cats would perform, but he was disappointed in the spiders because they didn't move.
Wow.
I don't remember where I heard it in some something I watch on YouTube or something, I think. But
Missy, when did you see this first? Was this another you and your cousin?
yeah, we saw it a long time ago. I haven't seen it as many times as Brain Scan, but it's one I watch fairly regularly. It's fun. Um, and I love Robert Picardo as Mark Dark.
Oh my
Um,
God, he's so
I
good.
I love him. He's one of those actors that every time I see him, I'm happy, but half the time I forget his name, which
I
is
always forget his name. Yeah.
which is crazy because he's in one of my most favorite movies. He's Eddie Quist in The Howling. But whenever
Oh
I hear,
yeah.
yeah, whenever I see his face, so the first thing I always think of is Star Trek because he's also the holodoc. And please state the nature of the medical emergency. But it's fun. And I mean, we'd always watch it. It has a weird tone. I have a little trouble in the beginning of it too because it's super like it goes very humorous in the beginning, but somewhere around the midpoint it gets really dark and it has a mean streak.
Hmm.
And that's when I really dig it. And I mean, it's got great like practical effects and gore.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Howard Berger.
That that scene where Hoax comes to confront the bullies at the back of the theater when he kills
Yeah.
everybody. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's a great fucking. I mean, it's so satisfying too because it's just like, oh god, they're such dildos, but it's really well done.
Yeah, it's snarky and fun. And it's in the same kind of vein as like a Shocker or something. Although I love Shocker and that was Missy and Jimmy stable. Like we watched that shit constantly.
And Shocker should be watched. I went on a 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. I think I watched Shocker 4 times.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I just had it on in the background while I was working.
It's a good one. Great soundtrack. That cassette was like a staple in my high school Walkman.
You notice in this movie, I don't know if it's just my like, I'm contemplating buying a Blu-ray, but I don't know if you clean this up too much if it would ruin it, you know. But I'm the sound of everything with a phone ringing or what, like it all sounds underwater. It's like the weirdest sounds. Oh, I just from it opens with the guy that we never even find out his story, like that
Mm.
ends up dead, right? Answering the phone's ringing and ringing and ringing the payphone. Just really interesting sonic choice, and also like it's clearly a small podunk town, but sometimes when you're looking at it, it looks like the big city, like the alleys and stuff. Like I don't know, it's really it's just such a strange amalgam of late 80s, early 90s America.
It had to have been filmed in LA. Yeah, it was filmed in LA.
Both this and I don't know what the effect, I know I used to know what it's called. Both this and Brain Scan have that effect,
Yeah, that glowy
like where they're like
glowy kind of in
animating over,
between.
like Shocker has it too, right? That
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
the
Like you're
electricity or
phasing in and
whatever.
out.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, Shocker does it too.
There's a scene. Is it in this one? I don't remember if it's in this movie or if it was in Brain Scan, where somebody's mouth, I think it's Brain Scan, where Trickster's mouth gets open really, 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 really wide and he starts eating his
Oh
head.
Yeah, he's
yes,
merging
yes.
with
That
Michael.
almost
Yes.
exact same scene is in New Nightmare, except in New Nightmare it's done
Oh
practical
yeah.
and it's actually frightening in New Nightmare. It's just goofy looking in Brain Scan. But
Yes.
Brain Scan does some of that animated. I guess some of that's probably for 976 Evil. It's probably hand animated, and then Brain Scan they're probably messing with early CG and hand animation.
Yes.
So
Mm.
that's why it has that weird, crazy effect. I like it. I love that kind of stuff. I wish movies still did that. When movies do practical effects now, they should do stuff like that too, if possible. That'd probably be extremely expensive.
I feel like there was a thing. The first time I noticed it was the first episode of Ash versus the Evil Dead, the TV show, where I couldn't quite wrap my head around it at first because there was practical, but there was also like really bad CG. And I realized, oh, the only way to get the feel for schlocky, early, bad
Mm.
practical now is to do bad. Like it was just this weird like light bulb where I was like, oh my God, that's fucking brilliant. Because you're thinking, like, I'm watching, I'm like, they're doing practical effects for stuff way more difficult than this. So why are they doing CG for this? And then it just occurred to me. But I agree. Like a good mix. There's a place for this kind of stuff still.
Who cares if it looks 100% realistic? Terrifier doesn't look 100% realistic, and it's great.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I think that's what a lot of movies are striving for, is to look realistic and look real. It doesn't need to, you know,
No,
it doesn't need to. It can look a little bit cheesy. It can look a little bit off. It's fine. Like, we all know that the lady didn't really have glass in her face. We know that's a makeup effect. There's some
right.
charm to being able to see the outlines of the makeup.
Yeah, absolutely. Have either of you ever seen 976 Evil 2?
No, I was going to ask you if,
Like maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago,
yeah,
I don't, it was on Prime. I put it on. I turned it off within like 5, 10 minutes.
okay,
It
It's still on
looks
Prime.
it doesn't it didn't even look like a movie to me.
No.
Like
really?
it looked like it was filmed by like high school students or something.
Okay.
It did not look good. And I just was like, man, I don't know if I want to tarnish my love of the original with this.
Once Hoax is fully powered up, it's a fantastic movie.
It really is.
Yeah.
And like the oh, Mark Dark. I I love where he's like, what do you think's going on in this country anyway? Like apropos of absolutely fucking nothing. So and the detective Marty, is it? Like he meets the principal and it's like the guy with the Liberty spike and the headphones is like all rocking out and like, I see why you come here. There's so many little moments. Oh man. Well, so that's three like pretty bad movies that I would go to bat for all three of them. I really enjoy all three of them.
Yeah, me too. I had fun with all of them, the ones that I loved and the just revisiting the stuff I hadn't seen in a while. Uh,
If if you had to pick, like I think Brain Scan out of the three of them, I think Brain Scan's the best movie of the three. Not it's not my favorite, but if you were going to say just on pure craft, Missy,
I
what would you
Feels like
say?
a real movie.
Yeah,
Brain Scan is, and it's one of my favorites.
but I mean, just
So
as
I
far
mean,
like even like not necessarily you're like removing your personal feelings.
I think it's the best made of the three too.
Okay, yeah, that's basically what I'm asking. Ivy.
I can picture a world. I can imagine a world where Brain Scan is showing in theaters across America. I cannot picture Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation in a movie theater. I can't picture, like, I just can't see it. I can't see the box office for that. I can't see the box office for 976 Evil. I can
No.
see Brain Scan being a real movie that people just kind of went, no, I'm not interested in that. It looks like a film. These two look like movies, but it's
Yeah.
not a great film. But they tried.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. I think I could see the box office for 976 Evil in the eight in at that time, I feel
Hmm.
like, but we would not like it wouldn't have been like Brain Scan could have been. I agree with you. I could see the world where that would have been, like
Oh, it
people
did get a wide release. It
No
tanked.
one
it
It
saw it.
bombed.
only ran
Right.
for a weekend or two,
Right.
but it did go to theaters. Texas Chainsaw 4, I think I don't think it got a theater release. I think it was a video, straight to video.
It was, but they did put it in theaters. That was one of the
Okay,
things McConaughey was trying to stop, was a theatrical release.
gotcha.
I don't think anybody saw it. Even though it came
Okay.
out, I don't think anybody saw it at all.
So funny.
Although you
I
could
will
Um,
put
say that,
Texas Chainsaw 4 in like a horror film fest or show it at a drive-in and it would be perfectly at home there.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, I could see it playing in specialty theaters right now.
Hmm. That's what I mean. It totally could.
But which movie is the most fun?
I think they're all fun. I mean, I don't know. I'd probably go Brain Scan, Texas Chainsaw 4, and then 976 Evil.
I go 976 Evil.
I would
I
too.
know you do.
I like 976 Evil. Once I got past the first half hour, because I think that it starts out really slow. Once I got past the first half hour, I was like, where was this movie 15 minutes ago?
Yeah, I can see that.
I like it. Some of the humor in the beginning is like it tries too hard and it starts to irritate me a little bit.
I could see that.
Yeah.
But I have problems with comedies. Like I need the horror to balance it.
Yeah, right. So for further reading, there's a movie that was on Prime. This is like during the pandemic. I just put it on and like it's called Dead Pit.
Oh, I remember that box. I don't know that I ever saw it, but I remember that box at the video store.
I did too. That's why I played it. It's also not great. It's not nearly as good as these three movies, but it has a similar. I remember when I watched it, I was like, "Oh, this is a similar tone to 976 Evil in a way." Brain Scan way more so, but this would be like further reading.
Okay, I thought Dead Pit was a zombie movie. It's not.
I don't really remember. I think it is. I think it's like this doctor. I don't fucking know. I don't like.
I know the box, but I don't know if I've seen it or not. I may have.
I've never even seen the box.
Yeah, it was one of those video store boxes I remember from way back.
That was always there, and you just always stare at it.
I mean, I can see why. The thing coming out of the pit looks like a zombie.
Well,
yeah,
and it's
totally.
like popped out too, like the box. The zombie guy kind of popped out, like he was a little bit raised, so it was a neat box.
Oh man. Well, that's 3 good bad movies. And Ivy, thank you for joining us again, and we'll have you back soon. Always a pleasure. Please, you can come back any old time.
We need to do another slasher.
So
yes.
we have to do the Hatchet 3 and 4.
We have to finish the Hatchet movies.
Yes.
Yeah, we definitely have to do that. And then I mean, after that,
we can do whatever
is our slasher oyster, or however that saying goes. Yeah, but until then, for the Horror Vision, I'm Sean.
And I'm Missy.
And read Taste Like Candy.
Hapless teenagers beset by demons in the woods. A strange new drug that turns art into murder. A can't beat a deal on a new house with a horrifying past. A video game that might usher in the apocalypse. From the demented mind of Sean C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires, Shadow Play, and Murder Virus, comes Volume 4, collecting Baker's no sleep work along with several never-before-published short stories. This 99-cent volume also includes the opening chapter of the author's forthcoming teenage giallo novel, Black Gloves and Broken Hearts, due out later this year.